Many of you who live near the southern Rockies are experiencing a substantial amount of snowfall as we speak, and these totals are only going to continue to grow over the next 48 hours as we see this storm linger over the southern Rockies, which is going to continue to dump snow for portions of Colorado and New Mexico. In today's forecast, we're going to be going over what types of impacts you could see with this winter storm, how much snowfall you could see, and overall the weather for your area over the next 2 days. All coming up in just a bit. All right, now starting off, we're going to be taking a look at our storm track with a couple of forecast models, the first one being here, the GFS. Now, as you can see, this winter storm gets kind of stuck down there, okay? It's going to stall down over the states of New Mexico, Texas, and Colorado, and Kansas, as well as Oklahoma. And then this is going to move up northeast around Friday. This is going to finally move out of the area, but obviously you can see it's going to bring a lot of rainfall to much of the Great Plains states, those southern Great Plains states. And we're also going to see a lot of snowfall for the eastern side of Colorado, New Mexico, as well as the western side, far western side that is, of Kansas, Oklahoma, and portions of the Texas Panhandle. Now, as you can see here, we see a strong boundary between either rain or snow. There's not really any mixed precipitation here, and we are going to be going over into the overall atmosphere later in the portions of this video to describe why this is. But overall, you can see that we're either really going to see rain, and there's not really much room for mixed precipitation, and we are not expecting any ice accumulation with the system as of yet. Now, taking a look at our European model, or our ECMWF, you can see a similar track, a little more high resolution here. This is actually a 12-kilometer model here, and what we can see here is overall very much snowy conditions on the eastern side of the Rockies and some of those higher plains in Colorado and New Mexico, but overall it's the same scenario as the GFS. So you can see these models are agreeing. The only difference we see is a little more of that mixed precipitation there, indicated by that purple. So if you look on the Legion down in the bottom right hand corner, those purple colors indicate mixed precipitation. So the ECMWF is a very accurate forecast model. We trust in this model a lot. However, I'm not so certain about those mixed precipitation factors. Obviously we might see a little mix here and there, but I really don't think there's going to be a significant amount of mixed precipitation like this model is suggesting. Again though, we see that track there. It's going to linger. It's going to hold down there in the south with that deep trough in the west, and then it's going to finally move out of the area around Friday morning, and then it's finally going to head out of the southern Rockies and up into the central plains and up towards the Great Lakes. Now, taking a look here at another high resolution forecast model, we have our NAM. Now, the thing you have to know about the NAM forecast model is it tends to like to overdo things, quite often in the form of precipitation. So you can see here very heavy amounts of snowfall and very heavy amounts of precipitation. Some heavier pockets. Overall, we do see green for the rain side, which typically means lighter precipitation. But you can see overall very thick amounts of reflectivity on there, and you can see there's really high amounts of precipitation, which I don't believe is going to be as thick as it's showing it on the map. I think we're going to see some more patchier events, but overall I do believe that it has the right idea on the storm track that we see here. Now, you may be wondering why this is cut off. This forecast model doesn't go out as far as the other ones, but you can see still that we get the general idea that it's going to linger down over those southern Rockies over tomorrow, and then it's going to finally move out into the central plains and up towards the Great Lakes. All right, now moving on to our final forecast model here for the storm precipitation track, we are taking a look at our highest resolution forecast model that we have here, which is the HRRR. This one is great for severe weather forecast and overall for forecasting events that are not so far out in time. Now, we see here that HRRR is kind of getting that idea down that I had, where it's going to be a little more patchier precipitation. So it's not going to be in big giant blobs like the NAM was suggesting. But you see here we have a lot of that heavier snow off into the states of New Mexico and Colorado, and some of those bands moving into western Kansas and Oklahoma. But we overall see a lot of that remaining pretty much out west in those upper plains and Rocky Mountains. Now, we do see a bit more of that mixed precipitation. I think this model has a right idea about what kind of mixed precipitation you can see. You see some light areas there, not too big, not too blobby, but you do see overall we have some spotty areas that may be more mixed due to a lot of that mixing in the atmosphere, where we see warmer layers around the 850 millibar level. But overall, I am expecting you to stay more either snow or rain based with the storm. Now, as again, you can see with the track there, it's going to linger down there over the southern Rockies. Can't state that enough. It's going to be here over the next day, so it's going to have time to build up those snowfall totals, and then finally around Friday morning, we're going to see that move out up into the Central Plains and then up into the Great Lakes. All right, now a factor I did want to include in this video, because this one is often overlooked by new forecasters who don't really know how to forecast snowfall. Now, a big part to forecasting whether your snowfall is going to turn to rain or snow is not so much to do with the surface temperature, but rather the upper level air temperature. So here we're taking a look at what's called the 850 millibar temperature. Now, this is not a very set height, okay? So this is not a standard height. This is based on pressure, and this can change. Now, even though this doesn't have a set height, what this typically means is that this is roughly on average around 4,781 feet above sea level. So it's around the height that some of those smaller aircrafts fly. Now, keep this in mind, this can change. If we have the 850 millibar level that is warmer, we can see if it's above freezing, we can see some higher chances of rainfall or mixed precipitation rather than snowfall. Now, if we have an 850 millibar level that's closer to freezing or below freezing, we do typically see snowfall at the surface, obviously depending on what the surface temperature is, but this is an important factor when forecasting snowfall. Now, if you notice here, we have this kind of sped up here, but you can see overall, we do see a little bit of warming there. So obviously the mixed precipitation is not counted out. That may be a little bit of an issue along that boundary between rain and snowfall. However, overall, I do believe you're mostly going to see snowfall. You can see there a widespread area of those freezing temperatures at the 850 millibar level. That's obviously a good condition for snowfall. And we know here, as of the next slide where I'm going to show you the surface temperatures, we do see widespread freezing surface temperatures, which obviously is a good condition for snowfall and surface-based accumulation. All right, now taking a look at those surface temperatures with the National Weather Service blend of forecast models, we do see widespread areas there in the Rockies of freezing temperatures. Now, not so much in the Eastern Plains. We do see the next day, Thursday, we do see widespread freezing temperatures, but in the portions of Kansas where you're also supposed to see some snowfall accumulation, you aren't really seeing too much freezing temperatures. You see a little dabble there, but you're not really seeing too much of a very widespread area. You actually see some warmer conditions in the lower 40s, so it may be a little more difficult for areas like that to see actual accumulation. You may still see some flurries, but I'm not so sure about your accumulation quite yet, just because of those change in temperatures. All right, now briefly here, we're going to take a look at the surface wind gusts with the HRRR forecast model. Now, the reason I'm doing this is not only to give you an idea of what the wind gusts will look like, but I also want to sort out the opinions that this would be in a blizzard type situation, because we're not looking at blizzard conditions, at least not according to what we're seeing right now, and this forecast is for tomorrow and the next day, so we're pretty certain on that. But widespread areas of 30 mile per hour wind gusts or above are possible, but we aren't seeing sustained wind gusts above 30 miles per hour. We aren't seeing those type of conditions that are really even going to be close to blizzard type conditions. So you may get a little gusty, especially on those higher elevations. We see in some of those mountains in northeastern Mexico, we could see up to 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts on the peaks of those mountains. I don't think you're going to be paying a visit even to ski up there during this. I mean, maybe you are, but overall, those areas are really uninhabited, and I don't believe that's going to be any issue for any folks in that area. However, at the surface, you may see a little bit of a gustiness up to 30 to 40 miles per hour, typically staying around 30 and under, but that's kind of what we're seeing for our wind gusts with this system. Now, you'll also see out in the Great Plains and even into Kansas, we see some gusts moving through. So this is going to be throughout tomorrow and overnight Thursday. You do see those widespread 30 mile per hour plus wind gusts. Now, we're typically going to stay under 40. I don't think we're going to really exceed 40 miles per hour, but that's gusty enough to move some furniture around and get some small tree branches broken. So keep that in mind. Take everything that's loose inside just so nothing blows around. Even though it's not extreme wind gusts, we don't want any loose objects to become potential projectiles during the wind event. All right, now we're going to skip all of the other forecast models' opinion, and we're going to go straight to the National Digital Forecast database. And this is basically going to give you a forecast straight from NOAA about how much snowfall you can expect to see. So we're going to divide this into our two main states, which are going to see the most significant amount of snowfall. If you do have any other questions about any other surrounding states, feel free to leave a comment in the video about your specific area that you want to forecast for, and I will be more than happy to explain to you how much snowfall you are going to expect. All right, so starting off, we do see for much of Colorado here, we see overall the northern half is not really looking to get much. We do see some spotty areas that may get a little accumulation, but typically the majority of the bottom half is where we're looking to see that snowfall. Now, we do see with that pinkish region and above, that's where you're 6 inches and up. So you see a widespread area there in east central Colorado that is expecting 6+ inches. Now, Now, overall, you can kind of get an idea. You can look at that legend and pinpoint where you are, but you can see here widespread blue colors, which is about 1 to 6 inches. And then we see anything pink and above is 6+ inches. And we're really topping out down there in southeastern Colorado, where we see those 30 inches plus. So really around 30 to 36 inches is what you're expecting in those higher elevations. Obviously, there are probably some ski resorts there that may be getting a significant impact from this snowfall, and that's a good thing for those resorts, but obviously you do want to stay weather aware and stay prepared. I would not suggest going out in this or even trying to go skiing, because it's very dangerous to travel in these type of conditions, even if you are from around this area. All right, now moving on down to New Mexico, we do see the same scenario, only this time we do see some higher areas, potentially up to 40 inches plus there for some of those higher peaks in New Mexico. So we do see widespread areas of that 30 to 36 inches indicated by those yellow colors, and then those white colors there on the mountain peaks are really significant amounts of snowfall. Now again, nobody's really living on those mountain peaks, so we're not really expecting any potential damages to property or anything else, but we are seeing a widespread area of where people do live in those valleys that are expecting about 6+ inches. So you are going to notice some accumulation, and this likely will put an impact on travel plans, so make sure you're staying prepared ahead of time. I know this is already happening as we speak. I'm trying to get this forecast out as soon as possible, but overall you can see that this definitely is something you want to prepare for. Make sure that you're staying weather aware. It's nothing to freak out over, but make sure that you do have supplies at home in case you do end up getting snowed in, depending on where you are in this snowstorm, and make sure you are only traveling if it is absolutely necessary to keep our first responders from being less busy from things that could have been prevented. All right, I want to thank you all so much for watching today's forecast. If you did enjoy this video, I would ask you to consider subscribing for more of these forecasts free of charge, and I would also ask you to consider following the Weather at a Glance official Facebook page for more inside information and complimentary personal forecasts when you message me on that Facebook page. I want to give a huge shout out to our channel members, Chris Betty and Jay Case. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and what we do here. And with that, I will see you in the next video.